Peace.
Peace. Islam Moors will be getting started shortly. Islam, peace.
Islam. Islam.
Peace and love, family. Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Islam.
Hey, peace. Which where is it there is in the Moorish literature where it says it's a political slavery? Anybody know if you can help point me to the right direction?
Yeah, hang on. Political slavery is on page 37. Do you have the white book, the white Moorish literature book?
Not through the temple.
Uh-huh.
I got mine from RV Bay.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
because I'm still waiting to get those. I ordered them like way back in March, so I'm still waiting to get them. But
Islam.
yeah,
Islam. Sheik. What page? Could you direct me in that page on that page? And I can read it out loud.
page 37.
All right. Islam. I wanted to check that out too. Islam. Anytime, excuse me, political slavery. At any time a man or a woman fails or refuses to cast a sacred ballot at the polls, they separate themselves from all rights of an American citizen. For surely this is the one connecting medium for a citizen to his nation. They become no more than belated beasts of burdens. There are reasons why certain classes who are more or less independent take no part in politics, since they say they get nothing out of such in the way of material gain. This is no less than a political slave, since they refuse to voice their sentiments at the polls. Another form of political slavery, which is probably more prevalent among the less independent classes, is that of being forced into one of the major parties and they're bribed, coerced, or otherwise forced to vote the wishes of someone else regardless of their own minds. Before there can be general relief for the economic good of all forms of political slavery must be abolished, and every citizen must take his part in the affairs of the nation. Islam.
Islam.
I guess Islam. I just want to say what I got from that um, is that we don't really need to be involved in politics. because that's just another form of slavery. Because it's just people, talking amongst each other about things that don't even really have any gain, a material gain, so to speak. Islam. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Islam. Yeah, we could talk about that really quickly. He was saying that that's the sentiment that a lot of us have because we don't have any power, because we're not really playing the game correctly. Like for our people, for the most part, for our people, um, the common sentiment is just to hate Trump because he's racist, only because he's Republican. Because before that, I'm not saying that he wasn't racist because he did some real questionable stuff. But before that, wasn't really an issue. But since he's a Republican, and since we've all or most of us have been kind of forced or coerced into seeing things a certain way, we see the Democrats as for us and Republicans as against us. And so we don't have any power because they don't have to negotiate with us. They know that no matter what we do, most of our people, if they do vote, will vote Democrat no matter what. And so there's no power in that because you just have blind support for a political party. And they don't negotiate with candidates for their support. And then they don't put their own, it's not like they're saying, well, we're not going to support any of y'all because all of y'all are messed up. So they don't put their own candidate up that's going to do what they need them to do. Talking about our people. And so he was saying that we're in a situation, as a whole, where we're locked into this system of political slavery. Where we either don't participate at all because we don't feel like it works, doesn't work for our benefit, we're going to get played anyway. Or, like he's saying here, another form which is probably more prevalent among the less independent class, being forced into one of the major parties. We're forced into the Democratic Party. Joe Biden, and I'm not going to talk politics and I'm not trying to trash anyone, but he's really not a good candidate for anyone. And he's not any less racist than anyone else. But the majority of our people are they're upset, not that he's, more than likely not going to do anything for us. They're just upset that he doesn't appear to be able to beat Trump. And that's really sad because we don't have any play in the game. It's not even a question of whether or not if, we have to do something for them to get their support. No, they know they don't have to do anything for us because we're all locked into one party. And if somebody speaks out against it, somebody that looks like us and saying, well, you know what? I think we should start to demand something in order for our vote. A lot of our own people will try to shame them. And that's how come the guy, Joe Biden, felt confident enough to say, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That was extremely inarticulate of him, especially for him to be running for the highest office in the world, for him to be that inarticulate and ignorant to say something like that. That was really, really bad. And the real bad thing about it, though, went over most of our people's heads. Is look, he also said when the guy, Charlemagne, the guy tried to press him on that a little bit, which I commend him for that, saying that we shouldn't vote for anyone without something in exchange. He said, well, I did do something for y'all. I approved the Voting Rights Act. And so, that went over everyone's head that, our right to vote has to be approved every 25 years or something like that. It's ridiculous. But, just the fact that he could open up his mouth and say, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, that is ridiculous. We should all be ashamed. Yeah, it's pitiful. And this guy, that was just horrible. And so that's political slavery. That's what he's talking about, being forced into a party, whether it's through our own people, pressuring us, through mainstream society. And even this guy, this European man shouldn't even feel like he can say something about what makes you black or Asiatic, whatever he's trying to say, right? Come on, man, that's ridiculous. And so that's the situation we're in, and that's what the prophet was talking about. And that's why also in here it details how the prophet was able to galvanize the people together and to put people in office, and they didn't have a blind loyalty for any party or anything like that. They're like, okay, well, we'll support a candidate if they will do something for us. And so now they have bargaining chips because they can put someone in office. And it's like, well, if none of you are going to do what we want, then we'll put our own candidate in office. And we're going to deliver 5,000 votes. And so right away they have a play in things. And we have that power, and we could exercise that power overnight. And the things that are keeping us from doing it is the people that are like trying to, for whatever reason, stay away from this, stay away from coming into the temple, stay away from working with us, because like no one else is doing this. And that's also one of the things that people that don't want to see us rise are scared of, they're terrified of, because they know we have that power. And they're just terrified that we'll figure it out. We have the numbers, we have everything. So it's not that we don't participate, it's that we organize and we work as a collective for our collective good. Like, we don't need to be out here marching saying that Black Lives Matter, because the sheriff is the highest law enforcement official in the county, and he has to be voted in. And many of these judges have to be voted in. So that means we can put the ones that we want in. And then if these guys that we may not necessarily care for or don't look like us or whatever want to get in, that's fine. We don't care about that, but you're going to do what we need. If you want to get in that office, you're not going to get in there and be gunning our people down and all this other craziness. They're going to have to negotiate with us. That's where the power is. So it's not in not playing the game. It's in playing it properly, knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're getting into so that we're not getting played. And so that's extremely important. And so like later on, we'll be doing the voting block, Islam.
Yeah, excuse me. I just wanted to see if anybody saw the video about that Rami Salam El posted about the Supreme Council. And if anything, well, this right here is directed to you, Brother Lloyd. If anything is being done to actually address the Supreme Council issue.
Islam, yeah, from our perspective, we are, because we have a council. We're working together on a collective basis to do things, with the various temples that are with us or under our leadership. But as far as getting everyone on board, I mean, that's a work in progress. I don't really know, if other temples that are under their own leadership are gonna just come on board. I don't see that happening. I think we just have to be successful, and then people will see success and maybe look at their own lack of success and feel pressure, to make something happen. If their own members are starting to see, well, these Moors are doing this, why aren't you? Maybe then they'll feel pressure to come on board. I don't see it happening any other way, because, I just see how people act and how they are, so like, that's the answer to the Supreme Grand Council issue, because, everyone's going to say they have the authority, they're the original, and it's like, none of that stuff matters if they don't have anything to show for it. So I think, we're serious and we get out here and we make things work. That puts pressure on the other people to get in here and unify at that level.
That's 74 degrees. Must be hot as fuck. That's what it said.
Islam. So, because it's like somebody else would be calling themselves the Supreme Grand Sheikh too, as well. And it's like, what are you the Supreme Grand Sheikh of? How many communities do you have? What type of resources do you have? And if they can't say anything and we're doing something, they're gonna, feel pressure to produce. So, I think that's the only thing that's gonna get other people to get in line.
Islam, and also the Moors that are not in the temple, they have no idea what's in the temple. They're just speaking off of what they think and what people are saying online. Like, for instance, just ask yourself where you are right now in the knowledge from studying with this group. Were you there last year? Did you have this kind of understanding? Did you see, how the structure of the movement set up, the government? Did you know all of these things? Probably not. You don't know these things until you come in up under, the correct leadership who is actually passing this kind of knowledge and wisdom down. And you can only get this stuff from within the prophet's movement, from within the prophet's temple, Islam.
All right, Islam. So thank you for sharing. It's on point. Like, we definitely didn't know this stuff on the outside looking in. There's some things that you're just not going to learn unless you're actually coming in and studying. Everything is not on the internet. And that's where a lot of people don't understand. Just like the people who would try to say that they're not religious, so I'm not really with the religion. They don't even understand that's where the power is. That's where the freedom is. That's why the prophet established the religious society. Some people want to talk about the Second Amendment. Second Amendment is not even a big deal. All of us can carry and hold, guns legally. It's only a big deal to people who can't because they got felonies or something. But like, what's the First Amendment? Anybody know what the First Amendment is?
Islam, freedom of speech.
What's the Third Amendment? Let's pull this up. Pull up all the amendments. People want to skip over this stuff, but it's like the power. Okay, we have the freedom of religion, and the government cannot, interfere in these types of affairs. When it comes to religion, they have to defer. All right, and so that's extremely important, and that's one of the reasons why it's set up like this. And part of our religion is correcting our status. Everybody want to talk about correcting your status, right? Part of our religion is, and part of correcting our status, reestablishing who we are, adding your title to your name, and also reconnecting with your indigenous heritage to the lands. All of this is a part of it. It's all encompassing, and that means nobody can come against it. They can't infringe on it. And that's extremely important. And so the people who want to leave that alone, I understand if it's out of ignorance. A lot of us maybe want to get away from religion. You're coming from Christianity and you don't really know any better. I get that. I've been through that too. But they need to come in and understand that's where the power is. And then for some, they just don't want it because they're not trying to do right. They're not trying to live right. They're not trying to better themselves. Too much of a challenge. But that's where the power is. And then people don't know that if they're on the outside. And then, of course, this also is where our structure, our government is. They don't even know that the Supreme Grand Council, that's our judicial form of government. They don't know the judicial, executive, and legislative. That's not the Europeans, that they base that off of us, our tribal government. They don't know any of this stuff. They don't know the prophet said that the Constitution was one of the greatest documents ever written. They don't know that. They don't know that that was based off of the Iroquois Confederacy, the Great Law of Peace, which is the, Great Law of Islam. So all of this was based off of us anyway. We're just taking it back. It's Islam. And so Islam, Brother David Sell. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought the First Amendment, okay, you're dealing with religion. The government cannot interfere in secular affairs, right? They can only deal in the I guess you could say just the physical straight, business realm. They cannot deal with spiritual realm, religion. They basically have to leave you alone. I'm taking a picture with my fez on. They can't say, hey, you got to take that off. No, this is my religion. No, this is my religion. Oh, okay, leave you alone. You know, in the future, they're gonna have to just you be able to correct your name, add your L and Bay to it, and they're just gonna have to just do it for us because this is a part of our religion, and we're a part of this society. And just like how everybody else, you have to make accommodations for LGBTQ and all these other people. Well, this is our religion, bro. So you're gonna have to make accommodations for us. But that's not gonna happen if we're just, you know, willy-nilly everywhere, all here and there. We have to come within our society and move as a unit together. So we can go ahead and open up. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All rise and face the east if you're able to. Right, we're gonna do the Moorish American prayer. Please repeat after me. Allah.
Allah,
Father of the universe.
Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is protector.
My guide.
My God.
And my salvation.
Salvation.
By night and by day.
My day.
Through his holy prophet.
Ali.
Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen.
Right, Islam. I want to announce that the meeting is now open. First and foremost, we rise. We give the highest praise to the Most High, Father of the universe, Allah. We give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for returning our divine creed and nationality to us. We also give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to all the ADEP sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by the Prophet, Brother E. Millie Ill. Honors to our current Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother K. Dandridgel. And also honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Honors to all you L's and Bays in attendance. Right now we're going to read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Salvation, Allah, Unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make and enforce laws with the assistance of the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known by the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2, all meetings are to be open and closed properly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws of the Constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Moorish American prayer, Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office of Noble Drew Ali, Home Office, Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam, Islam, Islamism. All right, and gonna go ahead and pick up where we left off in the Koran questionnaire. I believe we will, yeah, question 50. Islam. Yeah, feel free to speak up though if you have any questions or any insight you want to share. We left off. We last did 50. I'll just speak on that real quick with the holy breath. Just explaining what that means. We could see the holy breath as the spirit of God. The prophet makes the comparison between the breath and spirit man. And the Holy Quran says, as the breath of heaven saith unto the waters of the deep, so let thy spirit, O man, actuate and direct thy flesh. So in that context, the breath would mean the spirit. So the breath, the holy breath is the spirit of Allah. And we learn that Allah has a spirit, but that he himself is beyond spirit. So it's used to actuate in this realm. It's not the whole entire nature of Allah. Another way of saying this, I guess, because you could say that the spirit of Allah is within man. Also, in the Bible, it'll tell you that God breathed life into the clay, right? To animate man, right? And so that's the spirit of Allah. All right, so you could say that the holy breath is the spirit of Allah. So going to question 51. What have you to say about holy breath? Hang on a second. What have you to say about holy breath? All we can say is it is great, it is good, it was, it is, and evermore to be. So once again, the holy breath is the spirit of Allah. That's the life principle of Allah, right? So all of the different activities that are going on in this universe, Allah is using the holy breath, the spirit of Allah, to actuate it, right? So it's not Allah, because Allah is even outside, or even outside, or more than just this realm that we comprehend, the universe, what we see. But to actuate life and things within this realm is using the spirit of Allah, the great spirit, the breath, the holy breath. And everything is united through this. In the Holy Quran, chapter 10, verse 5, the prophet reveals that when he says, by the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. So that means that the holy breath is the binding force, or is something that's connecting us all, the spirit of Allah. Everything is bound by cords. Everything is bound by this. Everything is connected. And the holy breath never had a beginning and will never end, because time never was when it was not. This is one with Allah. Okay, so just to give a little understanding to this, everything is connected by it. It never had a beginning or end. And then that verse just ends with Amen. I mean, just to let us know that that's truth. And then question 52, at what place on earth was the physical part of man formed? In the Garden of Eden. And if we go back to chapter 1 in the Holy Quran, the prophet teaches us that man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit and a part of Allah. So just like in this statement, you have a distinction that's made between man and the vehicle that we're using, like our body, right? Because it's saying what place on earth was the physical part of man formed. Not saying where was man formed, it's saying the physical part. So you have a spiritual part. You have something that's not limited to the body. Okay? And then, of course, in chapter 1, the prophet teaches us that man is not the body nor the soul, but a spirit and a part of Allah. So this is just, this is reiterating that point. You know, man is not mortal, even though the physical portion of you appears to be. You're a spiritual being with immense power. You have the faculty of godlike knowledge and will. All of us do. This is why in the message that we're getting from chapters 2 through 19 in the lessons from Jesus' life is showing you how to tap into the power and reveal Allah within you, right? You have this immense power, and that's why Jesus lets you know that you will do the things that he's done and even greater things. That's in the Quran, that's in the Bible. It's you know, his life was a blueprint for all of us. So man is not to be confused with the body any more than you're supposed to be confused with the car that you're driving or the bicycle that you're riding. It's just the physical part of man. And so that's why that question says, where was the physical part of man formed? And then it's saying in the Garden of Eden, right? So everything has a place of origin. Everything has a place where it manifested. And specifically, this is saying a place on earth called the Garden of Eden. And then the next question, 53, is saying, where is the Garden of Eden? And then the answer is in the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. And you've had tons of different people writing about where Mecca could be, or not Mecca, but where the Garden of Eden could be. Some people say that it's in the Tigris Euphrates area, which is like in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia area. Some people said that it's in Ethiopia, right? Like some people say it was in Mesopotamia, which is Iraq today. But we're talking about something else, right? So let's see. The prophet is basically like shedding light on this. He's teaching us that the Garden of Eden is in the land of Canaan. It's in the city of Mecca. He gives an exact location where the embodiment of spirit man took place. And then he teaches us that Canaan was the ancient name of the entire peninsula, which is in the southwestern corner of Asia. And that's present day Saudi Arabia. All right. And in the Old Testament, in the Bible, Canaan was that was the land between Jordan and the Mediterranean, all the way from Egypt to Syria. All right. And then Mecca was about 500 miles from there. So like this distance, you know, is pretty big. He's giving us like a big realm, saying that this entire peninsula is where we came into the physical realm, or where the body was formed for us to, you know, come into the physical, to, you know, like how we are now, the physical bodies. That just leads into the next question, 54. What's the modern name for the Garden of Eden? And the answer is Mecca. And Mecca comes from an even older term. It was Tabak, Tabakk, and that means the crowding together of men. And so, like, if you're looking at it from that perspective, then Mecca is significant because it was the first spiritual center that was appointed for men. And it was the first spiritual center for the whole of humanity. It's also from the perspective of the Abrahamic religions, the Christianity, Islam, Judaism, it was the place of Abraham. And that's, of course, that's where Abraham and his son Ishmael built the Kaaba. So for this perspective, like it's significant to the whole of humanity. Then that covers like 2/3 of the world, or almost like half of the world population, as far as Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So from that perspective, that would be significant to like most of humanity. See why it's hang on. Okay, 55. What is the name of the first physical name? And then the answer, his name cannot be used only by executive rulers of the AC, of the MSTA. And then the next one saying, what are the words AC at MSTA? 8th chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America, third heaven. And let's see how to explain that. Does anybody have any questions about that? Just what was the name of the first physical name? His name cannot be used only by executive rulers of the AC of the MSTA. I'm not an executive ruler of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Islam.
Islam.
Who's the executive ruler?
The executive ruler of the, well, oh, you know what? Okay, rulers of, okay, yeah, okay. So I'm thinking this was saying singular. The executive ruler would be the Supreme Grand Sheikh, but it says executive rulers. No, yeah, that's true. Now I'm not an executive ruler. This is referring to like the Supreme Grand Sheikh. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hang on one second. So yeah, like I was saying, there's one executive ruler of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Supreme Grand Sheikh and Chairman. It's the same person, and that's Brother Keith Dandridgel. I was trying to think of another way I could explain this. I might have to revisit this question later on. Let me just move on to 57. Hang on. Well, you know, I'll talk about the 8th chamber though a little bit on 56. Basically, an 8 is one who's supposed to be skilled in spiritual science. Supposed to be one who has knowledge of almost like alchemy. If anyone knows what that is, the power of transforming something that's common or base into something precious. Basically alchemy, like a modern day alchemist. And it's one who studies the mysteries, or the mystery school. In the Moorish Science Temple of America, basically that's like another level. There's degrees to knowledge, degrees to everything. And so like the 8 chambers, just that would be like another degree for people who've shown that they're diligent, they're serious about this. They can, they would become candidates for the ADUP chamber, and then they would go into the ADUP chamber, and then even when you go into the ADUP chamber, you find out there's degrees to that too as well. Right, but for the most part, is to give people a deeper mystical understanding of truth, of our reality, of your role in this, and for the most part, that's what it's about. But if anybody has any questions, though, feel free to speak up.
Islam. Praise Allah, honors to his prophet, honors to all you Moors in attendance. I just wanted to add that the material that and the way that we are studying every week, you are getting a lot of these sciences that are tied into, just the mind work and the science of life and how we are going about teaching and studying and learning together is in preparation for you to have a greater understanding of who you are, who we are as a collective, and how to pretty much live in this world and not be like everybody else. We're the ones who see what's going on when everyone is deaf, dumb, and blind. We're the ones that can see through the lies, can read between the lines, can see the message, and the layers, like the lotus flower or the onion. We can pull back those layers and actually see a bigger picture where most people only see what's on the surface. They only see what they're fed and programmed. But there's something inside of us, it's just in our DNA, that we don't take that as the final answer. We are encouraged to ask questions for these reasons so that we could have a deeper understanding. And I'm really proud of our team. Like, you Moors, you really show up every week and you study and you're getting it. And I can tell because just the conversations that we have meeting after meeting shows the growth, shows how far you've came since we first met and you're just curious about this information. Or you studied a little bit, but now a lot of you Moors could hold down a meeting on your own. That's beautiful. It takes Moors years and years and years to be able to even approach the podium. This is what we've heard from other elders and adepts in the movement. So what we're doing is amazing. And I just want to say, keep up the good work, Moors. Islam.
Islam.
says thank you.
Islam. Just going to 57. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. So if we're paying attention to that, it says mothers and fathers. So you see how the prophet uses that plural, mothers and fathers. That lets you know, obviously he's not referring to an individual, just a man and a woman who were Adam and Eve. He's talking about people, groups of people, right? He's insinuating that Adam and Eve are the mothers and fathers. There's several groups of people, right, that he's referring to as Adam and Eve. And then he said that they're Asiatics and Muslims. So like with them being Asiatics, that, lets you know that they're all olive toned people, but it says Asiatics and Muslims. So that means that even though they're all Asiatics, some of them are believers and some of them aren't. And these are the mothers and fathers of the human family, right? So saying that, there were other people at that time as well, right? And he's specifically saying that these groups of people are the ones that gave birth to, the people that are here now, the human family that is here today. So they're saying there were several groups of people, which insinuates that some of those people may have perished, which maybe this is reading too much into it, but you have earthquakes, you had cataclysms, you had the things that caused the continents to split apart. And all of those people were here on the earth as well, you know, and they perished, right? So he's insinuating, you know, the mothers and fathers, like these were groups of men and women, you know, they were all Asiatic. Some of them were Muslims, some of them weren't, you know, and that's what gave birth to humanity. These are the ones who survived the cataclysms, basically. Right. In the Quran, let's see, in the Holy Quran, it says this too about Adam. It says that Adam stands for man generally. Like, you know, it's just insinuating in the Quran of Mecca that Adam wasn't just some one person. And then in the footnotes too, it says great Muslim theologians have held that there were many Adams, thousands of Adams, before the great ancestor of mankind known by this name. All right. So, moving to 58, where did they go? They went into Asia. And this is just reiterating that our connection will be from these people, you know, who, you know, like I'm insinuating that these are people who survived all of the different events and things and changes that have happened in the globe. They're the ones that survived. For whatever reasons, they went into this area of the world, Asia, right? Like that you would call Saudi Arabia today. And they gave birth to our civilization. And then a lot of different anthropologists and historians have, you know, they concur with this as well. They'll tell you that's the birthplace of civilization, Mesopotamia. So there's a lot of things that collaborate with this as well. Some of the oldest forms of writing, cuneiform and things like that, they're coming from the same area. And so this is kind of, this is what the prophet is alluding to. Also, you could ask, since they were already in Asia, what it mean by they went into Asia. And remember how we spoke about the term Asia and Asiatics, and how from the Kabbalah perspective, Asia is the name of the realm where the physical world comes into manifestation, right? So from another level, without just looking at this from a historical level, you could look at it metaphysically and see that Asia is a term for this whole realm, not even just for this earth, for the whole physical reality. And the Asiatics would be the first people to dwell in this physical realm. And that's why we will be Asiatics. All right. And then question 59, what is the modern name given to their children? Asiatics, right? Just reiterating our connection to our ancestors. All right. And this is also saying this is what our race is. This is who we are. We are Asiatics. We're the first physical man, first physical people. All right. And then from the perspective that I'm giving you, like not that I'm giving you, like the Kabbalah perspective of Asia being the name for the whole physical realm. And these are the first physical people, the first people, this Allah spirit man to, you know, come into a physical body. Those are our ancestors, Asiatics. And that's why we're Asiatics. And that's why we're not going to let someone call us black, because we know who we are. What we know predates all of this, right? We're not saying we're Asiatics because we're trying to call ourselves Asians. Not trying to say you're Chinese or something. You're something that predates all of that. predates the word China, all of this. We're the first physical people. And technically, all melanated people are Asiatics. All of them. Like Chinese, most people in the world are Asiatics. Right? Except the only ones that aren't are the Europeans, the pale skinned nations of Europe. Because even the original Europeans would have been Asiatics. They left that realm and moved out to other parts of the world. Okay, so this is just reiterating our connection to our ancestors, letting you know you descend from the first people. And then last one's question 60, who is guarding the holy city of Mecca to keep the unbelievers away? The angels. And then when he's saying today, obviously he would have been talking about in the past, almost 100 years ago, 1928. So you got to look at who were the angels that were guarding the holy city of Mecca at that time. And at that time, the man who's on the inside of the Holy Quran, the Sultan, Abdul Aziz ibn Saud, and his brethren. And they were the ones who started the Wahhabi movement, which like really spread Islam across that area and unified all the tribes together with the same practices and everything. And at that time, he still held the title of Sultan, right? He which is our title for a supreme or absolute ruler. Okay. Nowadays, in most of these regions, you have kings. You don't have sultans anymore. Why? Because they made alliances with Christians. A lot of these people who wind up becoming kings, they went into Europe like in exile for a while, and then when they returned to their land and they maybe had assistance from the British Army or whatever to take the throne, they came back as a king, right? So at this point in time, Abdul Aziz ibn Saud was a sultan, and he unified the Arab world. And so back in that time, Europeans could not go into the city of Mecca. And they didn't let any unbelievers in. You had to be a Muslim, and they did not let Europeans in. Matter of fact, there was like only a handful, I think, of Europeans. I think a lot of them, I think all of them had to like convert to Islam, but it was very rare. They did not allow that to happen. So it was like a different world because it's not like that anymore. It's not as, as strict. And for the most part, that's it. The Europeans wanted to get in there though, because they like pretty much everywhere else they went in the world, they're looking at the resources of the land. They wanted it. They, once they found out there was oil there, they really wanted that area. So at that point in time, he was strengthening the tribes. He was keeping them out. He was charged with that task. And so that's what the prophet would have been referring to. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or any insight, anything they wanted to share about these questions? All right. Does anybody have any questions in general?
Islam. I just want to add a little bit of some breakdown, if you may. Like if we look at this in reference to like metaphysical spirituality and the body, we can see like we know the 7 eyes of Allah, right? We know the chakras, right? Those are our 7 energy powers that's in the center of our bodies. right? I see that as like that's the angels, Islam. That's the angels, and they're guarding the holy city of Mecca, which is spirit man. Spirit man does not change or pass away because it is guarded. And like our truth, that's where our truth, because man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed. So the falsehood is the flesh, right? The flesh isn't guarded. We're walking around living and observing in this world, but our truth, our spirit man, is guarded by those angels, Islam. And that's why like understanding not only what we are learning, just about the physical world, is so important for us to learn about the unseen and to understand the energies that are all around us all the time, and understand that our body is more than flesh. It holds energy. um like learning to balance our chakras, learning to meditate and breathe and be. We have to create a sacred space that is only for us, that we can go to just breathe and to step out of the cares and the worries of the world, because everything in this world is here to take from us and to distract us if we let it. Now, when we come into our power and understanding, and when we hold tight to the energy and everything that we possess, we can be different in this world. We can exert and share our energy and help people and do great things in this world and find our passions, which will become our purpose, Islam. But we definitely have to learn how to balance the higher and lower selves, and to guard ourselves, and to see when the world and the distractions of the world is bearing heavy on us. We have to learn to step aside, step outside of the chaos, and become grounded so that we don't get sucked in, because that's what everything is trying to do. It wants our attention, it wants our power, it wants our energy, it wants our thoughts for the most part, because our thoughts are what create in this world. So everything wants to use our thoughts to create what they want this world to be, and that's to take away from who we are. So if we don't know who we are, we're giving our thoughts and our energy to everything, the billboards, the commercials, the music, everything around us, the people. We get caught up in all this. We have no energy for ourselves. We can't create what we want to create because we're exhausted, Islam. So we have to learn to step back and to understand the powers that we possess and how to balance them and put them in their proper perspectives. Because sometimes we all feel like this. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I don't want to do nothing today. I'm tired. I'm burnt out, and the world don't care about how you feel. You have to put your foot down, and you have to set your goals and your boundaries. Create your space where you don't let nobody in because you're not feeling it, Islam. So it's so important to pay attention and observe our feelings and our energies and how they are carrying out into this world. Because no matter what, our spirit is forever protected by the angels. And that's on the inside. And on the outside, we are the angels. Islam, we're the ones that's protected because we know who we are and we know what's coming from within ourselves. Islam, praise Allah.
Islam, thank you. Yeah, definitely on point. Does anybody else have anything to share? Okay. Want to announce without further ado, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. First, I'm going to read the additional laws for Moorish Americans. It's by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples and businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2, all members are to attend their ADEP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who's able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and become industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah. Islam. Brother Cole Bay, are you here? Would you be able to read the writs of the prophet?
Islam.
Islam.
Arise and give honors to great God Allah. Give honor to our prophet Noble Drew Ali. Give honor to all Muslims on the call. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where the prophet found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Dwali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam, I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was a joke and unreal. But since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I've notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifted funds, the ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. This is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years, Prophet Noble Dwali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instructions from your Prophet Noble Dwali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judged the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Dwali, and that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confined of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles and your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Dwali. Islam, Islam, Islam is.
Islamism, brother. Thank you. All right. Unless somebody has anything they want to share, we're going to go ahead and close out. All right. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Please rise and face the east for the closing prayer. Okay. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen. All right, peace and love, Moors. For those that are going to Hocking Hills, we're doing that on the 8th or the 9th. And on the 8th, we're doing the CCW class.
Peace and love, Islam.
All right, peace and love.
Peace and love, Islam, Moors.
Islam, peace and love, Morris.
Peace.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, Islam.